Hello YouTube world, my name is Nicholas Montez, and you're watching my YouTube channel, Nicholas Montez. Okay, so first off, gotta talk about the haircut. Yes, I got a haircut today, and if you're wondering why I'm not wearing my jacket or my Marvel beanie here, is because I feel like that my haircut is kind of appropriate for this video, and I'll explain why in just a minute. But so today we're reviewing the first episode of the long-awaited series, Falcon and the Winter Soldier. I have been excited for this series ever since it was first announced. I just love the character of Captain America, even though this isn't technically like a Steve Rogers-based story. But I do like the trailers, and I saw the first episode, and yeah. But before we get started talking about it, let's just explain a few things. First off, why is my haircut appropriate for this video? Well, to be honest, when I thought of my haircut, I kind of thought I looked like Anthony Mackie because of his hair. I don't know. Maybe I look like George Babcock with like a cut here and then hair on top. I don't know. I just don't want to wear my beanie today because of it. But here, so let's talk about my thoughts on Falcon and Winter Soldier before the show was released. So when it was announced, I thought it sounded interesting because because if you look on Disney Plus right now, there's a little special called Marvel Studios Expanding the Universe, where basically Kevin Feige is at Comic-Con, I believe in 2019, and he's basically talking about all the Marvel Disney Plus shows that are going to be coming out. And this special came out, I believe it's a Disney Plus original special. It came out back in 2019 when Disney Plus first opened, well, when it first launched. And when they talked about Falcon and the Winter Soldier, I was like, you know, these characters are good in the movies as side characters, kinda. But making a story about them didn't really seem that interesting to me. But when I started to learn that they were gonna do the characters when they're not just the side characters, like that's actually kind of cool. Like we were doing the origins. Technically we didn't really get that in this episode, but I don't technically think we're gonna get that because this takes place after Avengers Endgame, and they're not gonna do that. But that's kind of what I thought. But anyways, let's get into the review for the first episode of Falcon and the Winter Soldier: New World Order. So the first thing you really gotta talk about with Falcon and the Winter Soldier, especially for this first episode, is that the way it continues the events of Avengers Endgame is just fantastic. Because with each story going on with both of these characters, it's just amazing. Sam Wilson, I just love them. Of course, everybody loves the mentionings of the stuff that happened before, and you know, talking about the blip and stuff like that. But so let's just talk about the episode. So first off, this episode's not action-packed, but that first action sequence at the beginning was when Sam Wilson is fighting on all those planes. That's a fantastic sequence. You get to see more of his powers. Well, not his powers, but more of his flying skills in this episode. It's beautiful. It's shot really well, and it also has some really cool action sequences with kicking and punching stuff. And also, I liked how they actually brought back the guy that George Babcock from Captain America: The Winter Soldier. That was actually a nice surprise. But we already know that he was going to be in the show already because he said, because we've heard rumors that he was going to be in the show at some point. But I just thought that this was a great sequence to start off the show right. And of course, it probably has some of the best things that everybody loved, is that it has explosions with planes, helicopters exploding. Everybody loves to see that because people are huge superhero fans. So everybody would obviously be excited for that. Now this episode isn't technically action-based. Like, it's very character-based. It really focuses on the two characters, Sam Wilson and Bucky Barnes. So with Sam Wilson's life, we get to explore, we get to explore two parts. We get to explore, his superhero life, the soldier. We get to explore the part when he decides to not take the mantle as Captain America, and then we explore his life with his family, with his sister and his nephews. And then with Bucky Barnes, it's a little bit more different, where he has nightmares of the mission that he did as the Winter Soldier when he was corrupted by Hydra. And it's like, because like at first, he mentioned, like when he went to the therapist, I was like, he mentioned Wakanda, and I was like, because it's like, I mean, I understand that, because like, it didn't really make sense at first to me, because Bucky, he went to Wakanda, like, he agreed for Wakanda to freeze him, because, so that way, all the stuff that are still in his head from Hydra can come out and not be there anymore. So that way he could be his own self again. And basically after Endgame, and basically like if you saw him in Infinity War, he was fine. He was helping. He didn't do any bad things. He didn't kill any of our heroes. And even in Endgame, but he didn't really do a big part in Endgame. He was just shooting a couple of aliens, but that was it. But like I had to pause the episode for a minute because I needed to like ask something to my sister, and my sister actually explained this to me. I can't really explain explain how she explained it, but like it was really cool the way she explained it. It's kind of sad. Like, he just wants peace, because it's like even after everything that he did, people won't trust him, and they just don't understand the fact that he was taken over by Hydra. And in this episode, Bucky is probably my favorite character. Is probably the best character by far. It makes his character more likable, and it just makes another great theme of the MCU. And the MCU does great jobs of these themes. And also there's but like his story just worked so well. With that, he just wants peace, because after everything that he did with being taken over by Hydra, he's been through a lot. He's 100 years old. He doesn't have no history, no family. He keeps ignoring. He can't trust anybody, and he denies everything. And it's like it's an interesting arc. It like takes interesting chunks and it works. And of course, the nightmare that he has, where he is attacking all those guys, it's actually a pretty cool sequence, not gonna lie. It does pretty cool action sequences. Kind of wish we could have got more of that, but no, this show's not about flashbacks. It's all about Falcon and Winter Soldier after Avengers Endgame. Okay, so then we start to some of this parts of this episode are shocking moments. Well, I don't really think there's like many shocking moments, but there's at least one that I loved, and that is a scene where Bucky is going out to like eat with this old man, and he talks about his son, and that he got killed, and he's like, I don't know how this happened. It came out of nowhere. And then once he says that, and it gets to Bucky, you start to realize that nightmare, the last shot of that nightmare, that Bucky shot that guy, that was his son. And I was like, oh, no! This is insane! And then my sister was like, this is the Iron Man Howard Stark death all over again. It's pretty much like that, but yeah. So that's a very shocking moment right there. But also, when you explore Sam Wilson's life with the Captain America stuff, it's some very interesting stuff. And I also like how they brought War Machine into the mix. Well, I mean, he wasn't technically like armored, but he was at Washington. He was like an actual guy there. And you know, they actually have a really nice talk about, you know, the path, the blip, just everything around it. And it just has and I love the way the Captain America Museum looks. It's just a fantastic. Did I mention that the action sequences and visual effects are really good? We also get some teases. We also get a couple of teases for the Flag Smashers, I believe. The action sequence that we get with it is pretty cool. There's like this one moment where they slam this guy, and it was like, ooh, I wonder if his back got broke, and then he literally like hits him in the face, and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is so violent. And then one more thing before we get into the bad, and that this episode has a very shocking moment. Well, I did not expect to see U.S. Agent at the end of this episode. Much like WandaVision, where it closes out with those credits, that's the way I felt with this episode. Except for some reason, I wasn't, because, you know, Sharon Carter didn't show up, and Baron Zemo didn't show up yet, I didn't really expect them to go this far for the U.S. Agent thing. I just didn't expect it. Like, when Sarah put on the news, I wasn't really expecting like them to announce the U.S. Agent. I thought they were gonna announce something, but I didn't really think they were gonna announce like U.S. Agent in this episode. And one more thing, I know I said one more thing just a minute ago, but we have to talk about one more thing. And that the relationship between Sam and his sister Sarah is just fantastic. It's like Sarah doesn't want Sam to help her because she has her reasons. And it's like you care about both of these characters, and it's just a very cool dynamic. So yeah, so that's the good stuff on Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Now let's move on to the bad. And when we move on to the bad, I wouldn't say there's technically specific bad things about the episode, but it's kind of a little bit of a disappointment, because you think, because this is kind of a show that does a bunch of everything, where they announced Baron Zemo, they announced Sharon Carter, but you know, it's the first episode, so they can't technically do everything in one episode. They have to flesh it out, which is actually one of the best things about WandaVision, is that since, honestly, I'm kind of liking TV shows more now. Because because the MCU is so great, they get to flesh out the characters more. And that's an interesting thing about this show. In that like the characters and the story gets fleshed out better. And I like that. And I know I'm talking about it bad right now, but in here, as a first episode, I did really like it, but it just felt I just felt like there could have been a little bit, a couple of scenes that could have been longer. And I kind of wish that Sam Wilson and James could have teamed up in this episode. Like, I felt like, and I also felt like this episode could have been longer as a whole. But, yeah, that's it. I actually really like this episode, so that is everything I love about Falcon and the Winter Soldier. So before I give you my final score, be sure to tell me down below, what did you think about the first episode of Falcon and the Winter Soldier? Did you love it? Did you hate it? We're right there in between. Let's get some nice discussions going. With that said, let's get started with those scores. Alright, so that is it for my Falcon and the Winter Soldier review. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And my Instagram name is Marvel6. My TikTok name is Marvel1Fan. If you guys don't understand those names, head to my about section so you can follow me on those streaming on... Ignore my sister in the background. My family out there are watching a movie with Kurt Russell and Glenn Close. If you know what the movie is, you probably know what I'm talking about. I mean, if you know a movie that they've been in together, you probably know what I'm talking about. But if you don't understand those names for Marvel6 and TikTok and my TikTok name, head to my about section so you can follow me on those platforms. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.